This past weekend was a ton of fun. Obviously, there was the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship, but if you didn't know, there were these smaller tournaments run at several OTS stores. That was like the World Championship celebration event, and there were a lot of cool prizes given away. And I wanted to travel to meet my friend. He lives a couple hours away from me, because they were having a World Championship celebration event on Saturday, which was really exciting, and I wanted to sort of practice for the ARG Invitational, which is next week. Obviously, the formats are a little different, but because I was playing Altergeist, which there'll be a deck profile at the end of this video after I talk about what I want to talk about, I figured seeing I was playing a deck like Altergeist that only had a couple changes for the Worlds format, it would still be pretty valuable practice. Are you done taking a bath? So anyway, this past weekend there was not only the World Celebration event, which I'll talk about in a second, but also there was at this locals on the Friday night, there was a Pegasus challenge event that was done in order to raise money for one of the, I think a player or judge's wedding expenses, which was really exciting. It was a $10 entry and all the funds, to my knowledge, went to the person whose wedding was happening, which was really cool. And I like Pegasus challenge. If you guys have not played in one, basically, I mean, it's supposed to be Pegasus, it's how it started, like the voice actor did it, but if you want to run one or if you play one at like a YCS side event, what happens is there's like a fancy ruling announcement every like 5 or 10 minutes. Sometimes, I mean, some of the better examples were like, oh, everyone destroy all cards on your board, or both players discard their entire hand and then draw 5 new cards. And they're just kind of fun. It's kind of like a clown fiesta, and I wanted to play in that, so I decided to go a day early for the World Celebration event just to play that event on Friday. And it was actually really cool. They got almost 30 people, raised a lot of money for the guy whose wedding it was, and I had a lot of fun. I went 5-0, it was actually 5 rounds, and I didn't lose a single match. It was really cool. I won a box of Cybernetic Horizon. Now, I already opened it. I don't think you guys need to watch another box opening of Cybernetic Horizon. However, I should have opened it on camera because I actually pulled the exact box that I said in the last box opening video that you would have to open to actually make your money back. I pulled Borrelsword Dragon and Danger Nessie, and then I also pulled 2 really good ultra rares. I think the best 2 ultra rares you can possibly pull. So I made a ton of money off of that box. It was super awesome, and it was really cool doing the Pegasus event and having it go towards a good cause. And then the next day I played in the World Celebration event, and that was a lot of fun too, which I won as well. So I'll show you this thing that my friend got in a second, but one of the things I won was this cool mat. You can see there, it has the, I think that's last year's World's Prize card, which is kind of cool. They've been doing these, this is now the 2nd year, and it was really exciting. I actually really liked playing in the World's format. I thought it was a really cool idea. But one of the reasons that I wanted to make this video and talk about the Pegasus event is because I kind of broke it. I don't want to say I ruined it, but I did figure out this ruling that it was kind of weird, and it's something that if you, like I just kind of explained, when you play a Pegasus event at a normal tournament like a YCS, the ruling change every time there's a new one, the old one goes away, so you don't really have something just forever. However, at this one, they made a ruling change heading into round 2, and this got a lot of people excited, including myself. I mean, it doesn't really affect my deck, but it's just like cool to think about it. But they basically said that we're doing pre-Master Rule 4. They didn't say it quite that way, though. The exact language that the judge used, because you still need to have like the upper link zones and stuff. He said that all of your zones are now extra monster zones, and that matters because what I figured out is that if you were playing Cyber Dragons at this event, and the Cybernetic Horizon cards were legal, so a lot of people were playing Cyber Dragons. If you were playing Cyber Dragons and you were playing the Chimeratech Mega Fleet Dragon, a card that takes 1 Cyber Dragon and then 1 or more monsters in the extra monster zones, you can just use Cyber Dragon to take out any of your opponent's monsters. And it doesn't start a chain, doesn't destroy the cards, it just sends them to the graveyard. I don't think people figured this out. Actually, I know that they didn't, because the round right before, the judge pretty much had to make that ruling nullified because it was people were too angry. I basically figured out that if you play against Cyber Dragons and you have Mega Fleet in your extra deck, and I'm the only person that I think was in that exact scenario because I was side decking the Cyber Dragons, so I had Mega Fleets in my extra deck. But that meant that if I played against Cyber Dragons and my opponent ended with a board of like Cyber Dragon and Cyber Dragon Infinity, I could actually, without playing any cards, because Mega Fleet can take from either side of the board, I could just use my opponent's Cyber Dragon and their Infinity to make a Mega Fleet without summoning, without drawing my own Cyber Dragon, without summoning anything. Yeah, that broke the tournament, and right after that, I'm pretty sure my opponent complained, or a couple people complained, and said like, okay, you have to reenact this, because like you can't have that ruling. I mean, just in general, Pegasus rulings aren't supposed to last more than one round, but that ruling was just destroying the game. And there were a lot of Cyber Dragon players there. I don't think any of them actually figured out that you could do that. I think it was just my match where I did that, but I mean, the match was like a total blowout. I think it was round 2. It might have been round 3, round 2 or round 3, where I played this guy. And what happened was, like, game 1, I thought he knew that ruling, so I had like 2 Altergeist monsters on board, and he summoned Cyber Dragon, so I just like torrentialed my own board just because I didn't want him to do that. And then he ended with Infinity and then Cyber Dragon Core on the board, and then when my turn started, I just used both monsters for Mega Fleet, and he was like really confused, and I was like, yeah, that's how it's ruled. And it's all because of the specific language of saying that all the main monster zones are now extra monster zones, instead of saying you can now summon an extra monster or an extra deck monster to any zone on the board. So I broke the tournament, and they had to fix it, but regardless, I only used that for that one round, and all the other rounds were pretty much normal as far as like a Pegasus tournament goes. And then I played in the Worlds thing the next day, and I also won that, which is really cool. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to say about that, but we can jump into the profile. Once again, I was just kind of going to practice for the ARG Invitational next week, which is kind of a weird event, and I'm sure I'll talk about it. I think I have some things to say about the event, even though I haven't been to it yet, that are done kind of interestingly. I don't know if worse is the right word, but just differently than Konami events, and I'll talk about that in a later video, probably a week from now after I get home from that. But anyway, thank you for listening to that portion. If you want to stick around the deck profile, feel free to. Otherwise, the rest of the video is just going to be the deck profile, which I did make a lot of changes, so feel free to check it out. So let's jump right into that portion. Real quick before I show the actual profile, I did want to quickly mention they gave us some extra stuff. So this is like a deck divider. It's kind of cool. It's like half transparent, which is kind of neat. It's a little thinner than I expected. Like it feels like I could just rip it in half. It's of the prize card from last year, which is also on the mat. So that went to like the top 8 players. And then also my friend randomly got this. He opened it before I got a chance to tell him not to. I guess you guys benefit because that means you guys get to see what's inside. There's 2 of these given out at all of the World Celebration events randomly to players. I think it should be that, I mean, I'm a little biased because I got first, but I think that first place should have gotten one of them, but that's just how Konami wanted it. And they did this last year. It had some cool cards in here, and this year as well. These are actually worth something. It's a little hard right now to tell their prices, but basically they're these really, it's going to be hard to see on the camera. You can see that the text is red with these cards, but the actual rarity, you can kind of see there on the Dark Magician. It's a little tricky to show. I'm not going to open them, but basically there's this special rarity that they put on these cards, and they're kind of just like collector's edition, and they're really cool looking in real life. The camera doesn't pick it up too well, but I really wanted to get those, so I just got them off my friend who was lucky enough to randomly get them. Anyway, for the actual profile, let's sort of jump right in here. Once again, as far as Altergeist go, as far as the hits that they had, there wasn't really a lot. I mean, they have most of their cards at 3 still. Obviously, the Altergeist cards themselves aren't going to get hit, but one of the only hits in this deck was like Strike to 2 and then Ash Blossom to 2. I think the Ash Blossom 2 actually helped this deck more than it hurt it. So we have 3 copies of Altergeist Marionetter, 3 copies of Multi-Faker, obviously, 3 copies of, we have Molaseek here. This card's really powerful. Keep in mind that at this tournament, Trickstars were really hit, as well as sort of the Sky Striker engine. So we kind of figured, or I figured at least, that the 2 best decks would be the pure Sky Striker deck, because all they really have hit is Hornet to 1, and then the Goki deck, and that's kind of what was at the tournament. So I guess we predicted that pretty well. And then 2 copies of Soliloquitis. I was playing the Concurry or whatever at the Pegasus challenge, but I thought it was horrible, so I just cut it. I always play that card and then I never use it, and I was like, why am I playing this card? So whatever. And then 2 copies of Ash Blossom. Yeah, I did play just the 2 copies of Ash Blossom even at the Pegasus thing. I just want to get a feel for how the deck was. And honestly, 2 copies of Ash feels really good. I hope they actually make this change to the ban list. I don't think this card needs to be limited. I don't think it's ridiculous, but I think honestly it felt really good having that card at 2. We played 3 copies of Pot of Duality. This card's my favorite card right now. It's really good for seeing side deck cards. It's really good for getting to Marionetter. It's just it just evens out your hand. If your hand is like a lot of monsters, you can grab a trap. If your hand's a lot of traps, you can grab a monster. It's better than Upstart because it lets you see 3 cards and you don't really need your special summon. Is it better than Desires? I mean, that's kind of up for debate. I don't really like Desires in this deck anymore. This card I think is really good. Maybe with only 2 Ash Blossom in the format though, I would play Desires, but I don't know. Duality is really good. A card that I played in this event specifically, and yeah, I only have 1 super rare. It sucks. But Called by the Grave. Incredible card. One of the worst cards to actually for me to play against is Called by the Grave. They just use it on Moloseek. It really sucks, but this card's amazing. I figured that it would be okay against Goki, and it certainly is good when you go first and you make the Link Kribo, and then they ash you and then you Called by the Grave. But the main reason I play this card is because I was really afraid of Sky Striker Ray. That card's really annoying to deal with, and I wanted just like something to out it, so I just went with Called by the Grave. And yeah, this card performed insane. I would definitely play it. I wasn't playing Anti-Spell Fragrance, so like I can actually play spell cards. And the last card that a lot of people play in the OCG, like everybody plays in the OCG, but it hasn't really caught on here. I think mostly because I wouldn't play this in a format with 3 Ash Blossom. 1 for 1. This card's really powerful. Like it's kind of hard to explain, but basically anytime that you open this and you can resolve it, you just end with a ridiculous board because you go for Moloseek obviously, and then you make Link Kribo, and you add Marionetter, and then you summon Marionetter and do all that kind of sort of stuff. You can also search Multi-Faker. So this card basically becomes like a Rhoda that also summons Link Kribo, which is kind of cool. That's it for the spells. I think there's 21 traps, so 3 copies of a good old Personal Spoofing. Yeah, I wish this was an Altergeist card, but this card's really good, obviously. And then 3 copies of Altergeist Protocol and 1 copy of Manifestation. I think these numbers, like, I've been playing these numbers like for a long time. I used to play the 3, 2, and 2. I've tested with 2, 2, and 2, but honestly, I think this 7 is like the best way to actually play the Altergeist trap cards. You don't really want to see multiple Manifestation. A card that is, I don't know, it's not that this card's bad in the current format. It's actually a lot better now that Gokis are like the best deck, but it's a card that before people started playing Gokis, this card was not in a good spot. I even made a video talking about how I don't think this card is worth the money. Right now, though, and especially in the Worlds format, this card was ridiculous because I did actually play against the Sky Striker Trickster guy in the finals, but that deck had a lot of cards hit. It was like Terraforming to 1, Hornet Drones to 1, and then there's like some other cards, Reincarnation at 1 as well. So that deck's just not very good. It wasn't very consistent. But yeah, this card's like really powerful against Gokis, and it's pretty good against Altergeist actually, so that card was good. We stuck with, for the Floodgates, Rivalry of Warlords, not Anti-Spell Fragrance. I just didn't think Anti-Spell Fragrance was actually that good. It's not very good going second, obviously. Anti-Spell is really good against like Trickster Sky Strikers, but not so much the pure Sky Striker version, not so much against Gokis. It really doesn't do anything against, I mean, it kind of like, it stops the rematch or whatever, but they just summon big monsters and it doesn't really matter. So yeah, I just played this card. This card's like auto win. A card that I played that I think a lot of people know about now because Simo made a video on it, Battle of the Elements. So I thought this card was like ridiculous. So activate only while all monsters on the field are face up. Both players send monsters they control to graveyard. It's like they each only control 1 attribute. It's basically the activation part of Gozen Match. The reason you don't play actual Gozen Match is because all the Altergeist cards are different attributes. However, you can use this to break entire boards of like the Goki. Like this breaks like a Goki Extra Link because all the nightmares are different types. That's really cool, and that kind of stuff. But then after you resolve this, you can then summon your Multi-Faker and it won't restrict you to 1 attribute. It's just one on activation. So anytime that you can draw this card going second against Gokis with any other like trap card like Rivalry or Strike or Protocol, you can just flip up the other card, or if it's like Strike, you can save it. And then you just like bait the Tri-Gate, and then you can just do this and you just kill all their cards. It's ridiculous. I didn't play against any Gokis in the World competition. I actually mostly just played against Sky Strikers. With people really like that deck. I mean, Ray's still at 3, so is Engage. So obviously a lot of people want to play that. But I did play against the Pendulum, and this card was a card that I wanted to see. But yeah, this card, I didn't really get a chance to have it like overperform, underperform, because I didn't really play against Goki. But against Goki, this card is like insane. And then Strike's at 2, so we're just playing 2 Strike. And then because Trickstar was hit so much, I decided to play Warning and Judgment. In the OCG, they actually have 2 copies of Judgment, which like seems pretty crazy to me. But we just have the 1 copy, so that's what it was at the World Span list. And yeah, I think these cards are like really good. I don't think you should play these cards necessarily in the normal format because Trickstars will just kill you, which sucks. And then last card, Imperial Order, which, yeah, I mean, I'm going to sack some wins with this card. It's obviously a really powerful card. For the extra deck, We have, let's see here, we have 3 copies of Altergeist Hextia, the best card. I feel like every time that I summon a second Hextia with the first Hextia and then search Manifestation, I just feel like I shouldn't be able to do that, but like it's like the most broken play. I don't know, I feel like this card, I mean, it's obviously like not in like the best deck ever, but this card is just so ridiculous. I did play the Prima Banshee and the Kill Dalga or whatever. Never some of them, either of these are really bad. So I know there's like fringe situations that you can come up, and if you don't play Reaper, there's no reason not to play them, but like they're just not very good. Honestly, you just like summon Hextia and then like the 1 Link Creeper like every game and like nothing else. But we played those cards. Played this card. Pretty cool. This card's really important because it's actually just a 1 card. Well, 1 card. I mean, you have to use 2 cards to make it. But this card actually just outs the Nightmare board that's like not extra linked when they have Phoenix, Goblin, and Cerberus, so their cards can't be destroyed by battle or targeted or destroyed by card effects. You can just summon this, bounce the Phoenix, and kill them. So that's actually hilarious. Speaking of, we play Phoenix, Cerberus, Unicorn, and Griffin. I never made any of these, but like there's nothing else you should play, so you gotta play them, I guess. I played Triple Burst Dragon. This would be a Boral Sword Dragon, but Cybernetic Horizon wasn't illegal for this event, so there's no reason to play Boral Sword, because you can't, it's illegal. You don't want to get kicked out. Can't win the match if you get kicked out, blah, blah, blah. Borlo Dragon's really good. And then, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I was playing the Chimera Tech Mega Fleets. I like this card a lot. I even without that like ridiculous ruling on the Pegasus challenge, I just want to play this card. It's just so powerful. Cyber Dragon plus like evenly matches just like outs any board. That's so dumb. But yeah, so then we had the side deck, 3 copies. Good old Cyber Dragon. Honestly, like this is like the card that's like been my lucky charm, right? Because I picked these up, won the regional flight 4-0 immediately, and then yeah, I guess I literally have not lost a match while I've had Cyber Dragons in the side deck. That's pretty weird to think about, but through 3 tournaments, I've had Cyber Dragon in the side deck and not lost a match. So here comes the ARG Invitational and Cyber Dragon in the side deck. I know that card's really good though. And then 2 Droll. Because I couldn't find... Actually, I wanted these to be sphere modes. We did play 1 sphere mode, but I wanted the Drolls to be sphere modes, but the vendors didn't... Well, they don't really have a vendor. It was like a locals, but I really wanted these to be sphere modes. But luckily, like, it didn't matter because I played against, like, Sky Strikers and not, like, Gokis so much, so the Drolls were actually really good. I never used sphere mode, but I would have, so... I don't know, it's kind of weird. 2 copies of Inspector Border. I actually thought Altergeist were really good for Worlds format. That's obviously why I played them. I thought they were like the Satellar Knights way back in, was it 2015? Necroz were like clearly like the more powerful deck, but Satellar Knights had a good matchup against Necroz. I felt like that's how Altergeist were, so I wanted to play Altergeist. But Inspector Border like auto wins the mirror match, so I wanted to play that card. 3 copies of Evenly Matched. Probably like the most degenerate card in this deck. I didn't really I resolved it a couple times, but this card's really good against the pure Sky Striker deck because they set everything with mid-roll, and then you just activate this, get rid of everything, and gosh, this card just like kills them. Like they don't really leave the monster card usually, so that like turns off the Ray in their graveyard. Usually they leave like a Widow Anchor set or like an Engage if they set that off of mid-roll. But oh my gosh, this card's stupid. And then you summon a Multi-Faker and you just do dumb things. And then we have 2 copies of Heavy Storm Duster for the mirror match. Also good against Sky Strikers for the mid-roll or whatever. Like, this card's actually just insane. Like, if Gokis didn't exist, I'd probably main deck this card. And then 2 copies of Wiretap. Yes, I hit Red Reboot with this card. Yes, it felt good. And also it's good in the mirror match. But more importantly, you hit Red Reboot and evenly matched and they can't do anything. GG, it's broken. So anyway, that's my deck profile. I actually feel really confident. It's weird. I just made that video talking about like a month ago, or I guess a couple months ago now, where I was like, it's my worst Yu-Gi-Oh season ever. But like honestly, this season, like this upcoming season, has been like great. Like the regional flight was easy, pretty much, and like both these tournaments, I felt really good. I just feel really good with Altergeist now that I've like actually practiced a lot. And yeah, it's all thanks to Cyber Dragon. But thank you so much for watching the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for anyone that came up to me at the actual event. Here's one final look at the beautiful mat. I definitely will be using this at events going forward. It's really cool looking and super special to me. So yeah, I'll see you guys later though. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.